Alright, today we're doing a basic rundown of EQ, that's short for equalization. EQ is an important tool for changing the tone of anything in your recording, but keep in mind, it's super important to get the tone right first before you even touch an equalizer. That being said, EQ is super important for getting your tracks sounding the way that you want them. And having a basic understanding of EQ is super important as it'll help you communicate with other artists, with your engineer, or your producer. Let me show you a little bit about what EQ does and how it works. Alright, we're in Pro Tools and I got this new track by the Kiwis called Bedroom Days. It's not out yet, but be on the lookout if you like the song. I'm going to be using the FabFilter Pro Q3, mostly because a lot of DAWs have an EQ like this. I like this one for a few different reasons. I'm not going to get into it. Any digital console or DAW or recording software will have something like this. So we're going to use this. Before we get started, I just want to give a real quick explanation of what the visual interface of a parametric EQ like this actually means. So what you're looking at here is a graph. On the left resembles the low frequencies resembled in hertz, and on the right are the high frequencies. Typically, EQs go from 20K to 20,000. This one goes a little bit below and above, which is pretty cool. But basically, as you manipulate this line or make it into a curve, you're actually boosting and cutting different parts of the frequency spectrum. For example, if I make a boost here, I'm boosting the low mids. If I boost here, I'm boosting the subs and bass. If I make a cut here, I'm cutting the mids. And if I make a boost here, I'm boosting the highs. Now, what this actually ends up doing is it's actually changing the tone of the source. And now that that's out of the way, let's mess around with it. All right, we're going to start with the vocal. Let's check it out.
I'm under-caffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should.
So it sounds pretty good. It's not a bad capture at the source, but I think we can improve it. So let's start with the low end. As you can see, there's a lot going on down here that honestly wasn't vocal. Let's look again at the analyzer on this EQ.
I'm under-caffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should. Oh yeah.
So if you look at the fundamentals on the analyzer, it looks like the fundamental frequency of the vocals at 140. So we should honestly roll a lot of this off. I usually start at least 100, but knowing what I know now, I can go to like at least 130. Now the reason you do a roll off is because honestly, a lot of that noise beneath that 130, on this vocal at least, is probably just air moving around or sound from the mic stand that isn't your vocal. So you might as well clean up your recording in any way you can. Start with a roll off. Alright, so now let's listen back to things we might cut out to clean it up.
I'm under-caffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should.
So right off the bat, I feel like there's a nasally sound in the mids. What I'm going to do is what I call the boost and sweep technique. I'm going to boost the band on the equalizer and move it around until I think I find what I'm hearing. Let's try it.
I'm under-caffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should.
This can be a helpful trick to find what you're looking for, but then what you do is after you've boosted it, you can cut it back down and cut to taste.
I'm under-caffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should.
All right, cool. So it's a little less nasally. That's great. But now what I'm hearing is it's a little harsh in the high mids. Typically, harsh high mids exist between 1500 hertz and 5000 hertz.
I'm under-caffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should. Oh yeah, same old same's kinda holding me back. Tell me who would wanna live like that.
This is a pretty typical EQ curve so far for what I would do. I often do a lot of cuts. I typically do narrow cuts and wide boosts. We'll get into boosts in a second. But before we move on, I just wanted to talk about different areas of the spectrum. Typically, you'll find muddy frequencies from 100 hertz to 300 hertz, and then honky mids from about 300 to 1000. Oftentimes, harshness exists, like I said, between 1500 and 5000, maybe even 6. And then anything above that is presence and air.
I'm under-caffeinated.
To me, it sounds like there's a little bit more going on in the mids. I might make another cut or two there.
I'm under-caffeinated, outside the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should. Oh yeah, same old same's kinda holding me back. Tell me who would wanna live like that. I'm under-caffeinated, outside the neighborhood, a little dehydrated.
So typically there are a couple places I might make a boost. Let's go through that. Oftentimes it can be helpful to do a boost in the lows if you just need a little bit more body to what you're working on.
I'm undercaffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should. Oh yeah, same old same's kinda holding me.
You might make final decisions on how much body you want in your recording in the context of the mixed. For now, I'll put it somewhere in the middle. Oftentimes I might do a boost in the high mids, but not in the harsh part, in the part lower than that, where it might add a little bit of edge to what's going on.
I'm undercaffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should. Oh yeah, same old same's kinda holding me back. Tell me who would wanna live like that.
Notice how in this area of the high mids, when I boost and cut, how the track just jumps out of the speakers.
I'm undercaffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should.
This is why I think it's super important not to cut too many mids, although it can easily become, oh, they sound kind of ugly to my ear, I want to get rid of them. I want to boost and sweep and cut every single mid I can find. It's important that you don't, because you'll actually end up losing all the presence in your track. And last but not least, there's the air part of the frequency spectrum, which I would consider about 10K and up. Oftentimes, I'll do a shelf here just to add some presence to the top end. Check it out.
I'm undercaffeinated, outslept the neighborhood, a little dehydrated, I'm feeling like I should. Oh yeah, same old same's kinda holding me back. Tell me who would wanna live like that.
This is most notable in pop and hip-hop genres. You'll notice that there's always a ton of air on Ariana Grande's voice. Now, one thing worth noting is that EQ is going to be different for every single thing in your mix. You can't expect to use the same EQ curves and the same amount of dips and boosts and get the same exact results all the time. Everyone's voice is different. Every instrument is different. All right, with that being said, I didn't think this video would be complete without talking a little bit about analog equalizers. Before digital interfaces, most EQs looked like this one before they had graphic interfaces. So what you're looking at is honestly most of the same controls as a digital EQ. You have boosting and cutting the frequency, then you have a frequency control, and then you can actually control the width of your curve here. Many times people will go to an equalizer like this one for the sound of it. It usually has a different color, a different vibe. It can actually bring a different energy to the tone of your tracks. I use an EQ like this all the time. But that being said, each one has different uses. You're not right or wrong for using each one. I've also been having a ton of fun using Pultec style EQs like this one lately. I often will put it on as the last plugin in my vocal chain to add some lows and some top end sparkle. One thing to consider when using EQ is that every action you make has an opposite reaction. So when you boost the lows and boost the highs, you're effectively cutting the mids. Just be careful because everything you change changes everything else. I know it's confusing, but it's true. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this really helped. Leave any questions you have in the comments. And for more information, check out www.brownmixandmaster.com.